Joseph Robinette Rogan, he's been falling off a little bit. Now, I just want to warn you guys ahead of time. Jordan Peterson went on this broadcast with one intention, and that is to, of course, gain prominence and you know, have some media about him. But, like, he wanted to trigger the libs, okay? He said it. He said he wanted to trigger the libs. So just remember that. Remember when you watch this, when you get like upset about the things he's saying or whatever, but like it's literally the main purpose of this.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
So we decided to have this conversation because of what's going on with you in Canada.
Oh, yeah.
And that your clinical psychology license is in jeopardy because you have opinions about politics that they disagree with, which is a very dangerous and bizarre turn of events.
Well, it's your fault, actually. You know, I told you, I think, a week or so ago.
What the fuck? He's wearing the ugly ass suit, bro.
We talked about this. Okay, so let me give you some background here. So
I want to know how it's my fault.
I will. I'll tell you. A lot of things are your fault, as it turns out.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So the College of Psychologists has basically levied what are equivalent to about 13 lawsuits against me simultaneously. Now, the reason
Bro, these dudes love LARPing as villains. They're so funny. Bro, no one is afraid of you, dog. You are an effete lib. Okay? Like, you might be transphobic and shit. You're, like, dunking on the most marginalized individuals in society, ultimately. But, like, nobody thinks you are no one. No one fucking thinks that you are a dangerous individual or scary.
call them lawsuits is because they're actions undertaken on behalf of a complainant. Now, the complainant can be anyone anywhere in the world who complains about me for any reason. They don't have to be former clients. They don't even have to be anybody I've ever met. They don't even have to have met anybody I've ever met. So, you know.
So it could be someone online.
Well, it is. All this is pretty much, all these complaints are someone online. None of them are my clients, although half of them claim to be falsely. And the college didn't throw out their complaints despite that. So, which is really quite interesting.
And what are the complaints?
Well, okay, let's see. The one complaint is about the tweet I made about Ellen or Elliot Page. And when I said that a criminal physician cut off her breasts and that pride was the sin. So now I'm in trouble again because I just said the same thing. One was about Sports Illustrated cover where they featured that overweight model, and I tweeted out "not beautiful," and I guess that was something like fat shaming.
Lol, you have such a twisted view on Jordan. If you actually listen to what he has to say, there's merit to it. Yeah, you're right. I think two consenting adults getting like a mastectomy is actually the same as like Nazi experimentation. You're right. You're so right. Or that like, you're right. Sorry. Fake mommies, not beautiful. He's objectively right on that. I mean, the two things that he just mentioned that he got like clapped for are such unhinged takes that like I didn't even have to go to the massive library of psychotic Jordan Peterson sentiments, attitudes, resentments, and ideology. He just clowned himself. And you, my friend, are even worse than the clown. You are the defender of the clown. That's wild. Why did you just do that? Why? Why did you feel the need? There's always a middle ground to every debate, so don't dismiss everything before hearing it. Dude, don't ban that guy. He's a pet now, 100%. Why are centrists so fucking stupid? Seriously. Why? Why can't you just say that's a stupid take? Because it objectively is a stupid take. Why do you have to be like, well, there's a middle ground? Okay. There's a middle ground between me and you. I think you're a pedophile. I'm claiming that you're a pedophile. Go ahead. Let's find the fucking middle. What is it? Are you an ephebophile, actually? Is that what you're going to say? Is that how this works? Centrists would be like, well, you know, he has every right to fucking claim that I am, and I have every right to defend it and say that, like, you know, maybe I'm in the middle ground and I actually only You know, it's only they're only 14 plus, that sort of thing. Why? Just literally, just please, for the love of God, exercise a little bit of decency and also critical thinking skills. You fancy yourself as this intellectual giant, but you don't always have to fucking try to find the middle. Some things are stupid. Some statements are fucking stupid, okay? How can you even bring that argument up? Lamau dishonest? No, I'm using that as an example. This is how an example works. Sometimes you can say wrong things. Jordan Peterson is objectively wrong. There is no reason to fucking debate what he is saying. And only cowards who do not have, only cowards taking the position that you are right and nothing will change your mind is pretty stupid, though. I mean, unless you're talking about that chatter, or unless you're talking about Jordan Peterson dick riders, there are objectively incorrect. Okay, listen. I'm going to give you guys a very cold and very hard to swallow pill right now, okay? To every single person in the chat that thinks that their opinions are, you know, probably something that people deserve to hear. They need to hear it. You're wrong. You're a fucking idiot, okay? And I'm a fucking idiot too. I'm a very lucky idiot who has a larger platform than you, so other people listen to what my idiotic takes are. The difference between you and I, though, is that I recognize that I'm a dumb ape. You don't. You think you're smarter than you actually are. Jordan Peterson appeals to you because he makes you feel like you're actually smarter than you actually are. Jordan Peterson is also objectively a dumbass too. Okay? What you have to recognize here is that sometimes people that you like because you agree with them, with their statements, are saying objectively silly things. No one has to listen to them and act like there is something that you can take out of that opinion that actually might be reasonable. Okay? I hope you understand that. There is no thing like, there is no world in which like we have to sit around and like try to derive like hidden truths from Jordan Peterson being objectively incorrect about a lot of weird shit. Bro, the scolding is really tiring, Law. Man, shut the fuck up, okay? Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Seriously. Look, lol, good one. Don't care about Peterson. Was answering your unfair criticism of people who feel centrist. Yeah, it scorned you. It touched a fucking button in your brain because you also are a dumbass who portrays their position as centrist because they are a rudderless ship. That's why you like Jordan Peterson. Don't act like you don't like Jordan Peterson. But your example is so extreme, it gives the other side no chance. The example I was talking about was devoid of political ideology. I did not join the conversation from a politically ideological take because I wanted to destroy the counter that like there are definitely truths to every argument. Okay? You fucking dumbass butthurt centrist. You are just a narcissist. You are just as narcissistic as all of these other fucking dumbass SJWs in the chat that oftentimes want to woke scold specifically to hear themselves. But at least they have a political perspective. Being a centrist means that you have none, I guess. That you're ultimately in the center of everything. Like you look at the Holocaust and you go, 6 million Jews? How about 3 million Jews only? Is that good? Is that a way to look at this? You look at slavery and you go, yeah, you know, hundreds of thousands of black people sold and bought. Maybe half that. And then we're good. I'll meet you halfway. But you center your mouth on my cock, you fucking idiot. What the hell is this? There are things that are objectively bad, okay? And there are statements especially that are objectively wrong. These aren't extreme ideas. These are things that happen. And I'm not trying to be a debate bro. You're trying to be a debate bro, okay? I'm not. Triggered. Oh my God. Oh, what is happening? A lot of piss babies in the chat today. A culling is happening today, it seems. It's been a long time in the making. You can continue being Jordan Peterson fans. I'm happy for you. Okay? But we must cut some of these trees, or they have grown too far. Grown comfortably, thinking that the weak will survive. A purge is upon us. Okay? Whew. Go ahead. I want to hear it.
I don't remember exactly what the charge was. And then I criticized Justin Trudeau and a former...
Like, centrists are... Oh, one last thing I gotta say. Centrists are so fucking stupid. They're like, you just don't want to hear what he has to say? Hey, dumbass, this is a 9-minute video. I clicked on it. I very clearly want to hear what he has to say. The difference is you don't want to hear me criticize him. Okay? That's what you don't want to do. And I'll make it easier for you. I'll just ban you. You can still watch, but you can't fucking chirp and derail and stop me from watching this video. Lunalux9, thank you for the 10 gift subs. Let's continue.
Staff member of Justin Trudeau and Jacinda Ardern. I made a joke about her coming. I was going to New Zealand, and the New Zealand leftist press was freaking out, and I made this joke about bringing my alt-right trolls to New Zealand, and then I put in parentheses, or maybe they're just, ordinary people who are trying to clean up their rooms. So apparently that was casting the profession into disgrace. And then they submitted, one complainant from the U.S. submitted the entire transcript of our last discussion. So, I don't know how to defend myself against that, because apparently everything I say...
I think one of the funniest parts about defending Jordan Peterson is that he's objectively a weak man with a shitty sense of taste who is such a bozo that he got addicted to benzos at the age of 70. And not only that, almost died because his daughter is the real dragon of chaos. But he's such a crybaby pussy, dude. He is such a endless victim and such a fucking crybaby pussy. And of course, all these other crybaby pussies on the internet who are somehow even dumber than Jordan Peterson love looking up to him and making him seem like he's this objectively powerful human being. This deity almost. He's a pussy. If you like him, you probably are a pussy too. Berkeley Blue, thank you for the 5 gifted subs.
Apparently everything you say too is bringing the profession of psychology into disgrace. And I think they're most upset in that case about my comments about the inadequacy of climate models. And so, part of the reason I'm pursuing this action with regard to the Ontario College of Psychologists, well, there's 2 reasons really. 3. One is...
Hey, what are you going to do? You going to cry, chatters that love Jordan Peterson? Oh no, don't do it, piss baby. Don't cry.
Leave me the hell alone, guys. You've been on my case nonstop for 7 years. Not once before that in 20 years of practice. There's no complaints ever levied against me. It wasn't until I started to become, relatively well-known publicly that the college came after me. And 7 years of that gets to be a bit much, especially now that there's 13 lawsuits compiled up, and all of them are for political opinions, and half of them have been put forward on false grounds. But even that's not enough for me to engage in the battle. The reason I'm engaging in the battle is, well, first of all, you want me to do social media retraining so I communicate better according to your experts? It's like, experts by what criteria exactly? What's a social media communication expert? You got any documentation that even exists as a field?
Like, when I got banned from TikTok, I was pissed off, right? Because it was a false ban. I didn't violate any rules, and they lied and claimed that I did. And it was frustrating because I was like, this is something that a lot of people have to experience on TikTok in general. But I never fucking turned around and made it seem like this was a battle between good and evil. Like, this motherfucker routinely says the most unhinged shit. The other day, if you remember, he made a sarcastic joke that made it seem like he looks up child pornography all the time. Okay? I think that alone is like enough for an institution to be like, bro, you got to stop fucking tweeting. Like, I know you're a tenured professor and all, but like, holy fuck, like, what are you doing? Right? You're a burden on the administration. You're a burden on this fucking brand that we're trying to cultivate as an institution of higher learning. Like, Hasan thinks he's a social media expert. That's why he's able to call pussies for... What? How do you think this is helping anything? You're not a social media expert. You're not. You call everyone you disagree with them pussy. Just cry. Cry. Go ahead. Cry more. Cry more, little baby. Go ahead. You sound emotional, dude. You sound hysterical. You good? Are you okay? Anyway, the point I was trying to make before I was rudely interrupted by yet another crying little piss baby Jordan Peterson fanboy was that I'm disappointed. I want a real debate. Shut the fuck up, bitch. Okay. The point I was trying to make earlier was that Jordan Peterson is so bombastic. Like, he loves taking up like normal things that happen to him that are completely justifiable, like an institution that he's associated with being coming up to him and saying, dog, you got to stop posting like this. You sound like a fucking insane person. You're making us look bad. He takes that and goes, this is a crime against humanity. Even the Nazis would allow me to post if given the opportunity. This is worse than Solzhenitsyn's depiction of the Gulag Archipelago. These Stalinists must stop with their warfare against good posts. It's like, dude, no. It's not that brilliant. It's not this like battle between good and evil in the way that you're trying to present it. You're just simply an insane person who's posting like a petulant little baby. Okay? You're often wrong, and you make the fucking institution that you are aligned with look bad. It's pretty normal. There is no battle between good and evil. Maybe good and bad posting, and you're posting bad. That's it.
And how do you know?
Bro has been talking for 15 minutes and only 3 minutes in the actual video. Chirp, chirp, chirp. Yeah, exactly, dude. I know. I'm also responding to fucking insects like you in the chat too. Why does that bother you so much? Hasan, you are a necessary evil, my man. You got it. Here's the thing. Why aren't you watching the video on your own? Is there something? Am I a succubus? Did I sing a tune that made you stop everything and just like get stuck watching me watch this? Go watch it somewhere else if you don't want pushback against your fucking crying little daddy's stupid little diatribe. I'm an incubus, not a succubus, sorry. I'm seducing you like fucking Medusa, dude. I'm doing a siren's call. I'm pulling the ship in. You can't look away. If I was Jordan Peterson, I'd be so upset because like a bald, which he got hair plugs, a bald sex trafficking man-child immediately captivated a larger audience that he desperately tried to cultivate for years and years and years because he dropped all the pretense. Like he literally was just like, I hate reading. Reading is gay. I don't think you should actually compile information throughout century. Everything we do should be experienced. And like literally millions of adoring little children were like, that's my daddy. Jordan Peterson for years was like, I'm the intellectual. You should read. You should read every fascist text you can that says socialism is bad and wrong. And then this guy comes in and he just fucking destroys his entire shtick. Meanwhile, we know this motherfucker doesn't like reading either because he couldn't even read a fucking 18-page pamphlet and understand it. Remember when he actually got destroyed by fucking Slavoj Žižek, a dumpster diving raccoon who was probably forgotten more Marxist text that he himself has written than Jordan Peterson has ever read. He didn't even fucking read the Communist Manifesto for all these goddamn years he talked about it. This is why all the Daily Wire bozos was wearing more in their videos to appeal to more edgy boys. Yeah. I know. Well, it's not going to work because you're a pussy. Like, you are just a pussy. If you want to put yourself up there as like a beacon of masculinity, okay? You got to at least look the part, because a lot of people that respond to that are like cavemen with cave brains, okay? With caveman brains. And anyone with a caveman brain is going to look at you and go, dude, I would give you a wedgie, move on, okay? I don't understand. You're crying and you're describing the Bible and Adam and Eve. I don't care. I don't understand what's going on. Shut the fuck up, you loser. Whereas Andrew Tate offers those cavemen with cavemen brains something better. Flashy objects, Bugattis, bitches, right?
Oh, that if you have that social media expert train me, that I'm going to be a better therapist. There's no body of data that suggests that in the least. So I'm not going down that route.
We should explain that, because
so
that
I've
is
already
one of
been
the things.
sentenced, right?
Yes.
So this isn't a threat by the college. This is what the situation already is. I haven't been hauled in front of their disciplinary board yet, but they've already convicted me of disgracing the profession and sentenced me to an indefinite period of re-education. And that's the second most serious punishment that they can levy against a professional. The first is to take away the license. The second is to undergo this retraining and to publicly announce the necessity for that, which they've already done.
Zizek's Pervert's Guide to Ideology is a very good introduction to how centrist ideology often tries to hide as no ideology when it is actually fully acting in an ideological manner. It is a movie that uses pop culture references so even Zoomers can learn. Yes, Michael from Pennsylvania is correct. It is a very good movie. We watched it on the stream before, or at least bits and pieces of it. Highly recommend it. That's one of the most nefarious, insidious aspects of neoliberal cultural hegemony, is that it oftentimes uses the notion of being the default position to its advantage to make it seem like when people say, look at the common sense, look at everything around you, that's actually just the centrist position. Like, that's just the norm. We got to always be in the center, even keeled, even though the system is inherently designed in a very right-wing manner.
Done in my case. And so now I have to sit down with these experts at my expense for an indefinite period of time until I'm trained properly, whatever the hell that means, by the criteria of the so-called
Playing noobs, thank you for the 5
experts and the college. And that isn't pending an investigation. That's already in place.
It's such a wild request, too. Retraining, just even the way they phrase it, it's so bizarre, so Orwellian.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's your fault,
Like, Joe Rogan's appeal is that he's a dumb caveman, okay? That's it. Orwellian is the starting point and finishing point of Joe Rogan's lexicon. That is like, that's his SAT word. Oh, so Orwellian, dude. That's it. That's why he has mass appeal. Jordan Peterson, his mass appeal is that he is someone that Joe Rogan likes because he makes Joe Rogan feel smart. He intellectualizes the Rogan way of thinking and way of living.
Because it's the whole transcript of our last conversation. I don't imagine they'll be that happy with this one. So, but the other reason I'm pursuing it, and to the degree that I'm able to keep my head clear during this process, because it definitely makes me angry, and really made me angry over Christmas when I was spending Christmas going through the minutiae of all.
Yeah, Joe Rogan's appeal is that the general population can relate to him. Average intelligence looks and kind of funny, but not really that funny. He also routinely admits that he's a dumb ape, but the more he becomes an out-of-touch, multi-millionaire, the more his audience fucking despises him for it. Because, there are every single instance, every single time Joe Rogan gets, quote-unquote canceled for saying some dumb shit, people yell at him for some dumb shit. It's almost always about him, being an out-of-touch fucking multi-millionaire. Because, he's become this, unhinged weirdo that is so isolated from the average citizen, the average normie, in his current Austin iteration of the podcast where he basically is just like, I am the God King. Don't fucking, don't disagree with me. I don't like that. Doesn't matter if I'm like stupid. He hasn't admitted it since the Creator Crash video trolled him. He doesn't say it unless you rub it in his face and his own shit like dog poo pooped inside. What?
All these bloody lawsuits trying to figure out what the hell they were up to.
And you aren't? Well, by the very nature of my kind of content, including what you just did, it is impossible for me to not regularly meet people who disagree with me. And I continue doing that, as a matter of fact. Like, you did it. You did it just now. You clearly not only disagree with me, but you're doing it also in like a very accusatory way, as though to imply that I don't actually have people that disagree with me regularly. Like, you're doing it. You're in the process of doing the thing that you think I'm not doing. Joe Rogan never has to see a comment for the rest of his fucking life that disagrees with him, and he can just only have people who agrees with him on his show. I can't personally shelter myself from every kind of criticism. As a matter of fact, I don't do that. People still claim that I do it regularly, even though they're doing it in the chat.
Instead of, taking a bit of a break and having some time with my family. And so I was very upset about that. But to the degree that I'm upset about it, I'm not doing it right, because this can't be personal. It can't be about me. Part of the reason that I want to pursue this. And
Joe does have people who disagree with him on the show. No, he doesn't. He rarely ever has someone who legitimately and genuinely disagrees with him on the show. So much so that if you ask people in the comedy sphere, even they will oftentimes be like aware of what Joe Rogan's takes are so that they don't offend him.
And part of the reason we're pursuing an objection to what they're doing on Charter of Rights grounds in Canada is because they're interfering with my freedom of conscience and speech. And again, it isn't even the case that the reason that that's a problem is because it's about me. The reason it's a problem is because the colleges in general, like the regulatory boards of professionals, are doing this to everyone. Lawyers, physicians, teachers, massage therapists. There's all these licensed professions. And if you're a licensed profession, the government establishes a board of your peers to regulate conduct of the professionals. Now, and in a functional time, all that happens then is that generally the people who get in trouble with their own clients, right? With the people they've been dealing with directly. And then the board steps in on the side of the person who's been injured by a pathologically practicing professional. And fair enough. But now it's been weaponized, and it's been weaponized as a political.
Dude. Jordan Peterson would never just grossly lie about a law as it pertains to free speech, right? Homie is trying to do the same thing he did with C-16 again. And this time, I don't think people are going to put up with it. Like, he doesn't have that kind of clout again, little bro. Go dunk on, like, some blue-haired SJWs or something first to bring that clout up again. Go on, like, a BBC show or something and, like, make a woman look hysterical or whatever so that your incel audience can enjoy it. Or you can go the Andrew Tate route, dude. Talk about your Bugatti. Maybe you can cultivate an audience that way. People have moved on. This is old shit. It's boring. It's boring. It's not fun. We've moved on to Andrew Tate now. That's what us incels want. We want Bugattis. We don't want weird suits. We want skin-tight weird suits with little slippies, little flip-flops. They're coming after him, so therefore it's been weaponized, lol. What? No one is coming after Jordan Peterson, brother. First and foremost, Jordan Peterson is always, for some weird reason, refused to recognize, for a guy who constantly fucking talks about, like, laws and free speech or whatever, or should have a perfect understanding of free speech, like, he's Canadian. Free speech in Canada does not mean protection for hate speech. He always uses American free speech exceptions for Canadian laws. Okay? So that's bullshit. Like, that's not a thing. And Americans don't even fucking understand. It's not a real thing, okay? It's not a concept.
Tool too, and it's not like activists don't know that. You know, and it's so preposterous because I have 20 million people following me on social media, you know, and God.
Yeah, no one is coming after you, dumbass. Bro is pedo posting on Twitter, and the university he works for is like, bro, calm down. Can you not comprehend, chatter, you shit for brains? Exactly. Like, there is no villainous cabal that's coming after Jordan Peterson for posting. He's getting banned because the things he says are in violation of, like, the Canadian hate speech laws, first of all. But he's also getting banned because he's like, he got banned because he was too transphobic for Twitter. Okay? Can you imagine? Like, that's crazy to me. That you were so aggressively transphobic that Twitter banned you, okay? There is so much transphobia on Twitter. It's an accident if you avoid transphobia on Twitter for one day. He literally said a consenting adult getting a mastectomy is akin to a butcher or akin to Nazi scientists experimenting on non-consenting victims of the Holocaust. Okay? That is like the final level of like unhinged transphobia.
Only knows how many views of my videos, for example, or the interviews you and I have done. It's tens of millions. And like, how many people complained? 20 out of millions? And then the college didn't have to pursue those complaints. They have to investigate them. So I don't know what they're doing now because, of course, they've been inundated by thousands of complaints about their own behavior. So I have no idea what they're going to do about that. But they didn't have to investigate. They chose to investigate. And as I said, they did that despite the fact that half the complainants claimed to be my clients and weren't. So what we have here is we have 13 people who complained about me hypothetically doing harm to someone they didn't know, to someone who they didn't know, anyone who knew.
Dude, what is going on? No one cares, man. This shit is so bunk. I'm sorry. This is whack as fuck, bro. As a fellow Canadian, I have to live these scary times to be living in this country. Brother, you will never get this kind of consideration, okay? You won't, because you're nobody. Like, you already live under this consideration. You've lived under it your entire life. Jordan Peterson is just using this as an opportunity to shit on a system for Americans, mostly. For American consumption. Let's be real. An actual good man. Let's hope he gets through this.
As a consequence of things I said on social media. And that all of them, not only were they fourth-hand claims of harm, which, you know, no psychologist would ever claim that a fourth-hand account of harm constituted a valid measurement. So the bloody college is violating its own measurement standards by even pursuing this. But so not only are they based on fourth-hand information and then an outright lie, which is they were clients of mine, they're also predicated on the assumption that it's okay to go after a professional for expressing political criticism. Because, like, literally half of them are, well, I said something about Trudeau. I said something about one of his top aides. I said something about Jacinda Ardern. I said something about an Ottawa city councillor in relationship to the trucker convoy. You know, I said something about climate.
Yeah, nobody cares, bro. Oh, also, on top of that, he's a fucking oil lobbyist now, which is pretty funny. I do love that. Yeah, he's just, at a certain point, you got to realize this is just an old man who's fallen out of favor, who's like desperately trying to cling on to relevancy, and he's doing it by crying on Joe Rogan about free speech again, yada, yada, yada. Nobody is like fucking throwing him in jail, which would be really funny if they did. Let's be real. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Let's hear about his ugly ass suits, bro.
Oh, Jordan Peterson. I didn't even notice you have a two-tone suit going on.
Can I tell you about this suit?
Please do.
Okay. Well,
what's happening with that?
Company made this for me, LGFG. They made me a dozen suits.
Yeah.
One for each rule from 12 Rules for Life.
Ah.
The rules are printed on the back of this underneath the collar. And this is a heaven and hell suit, so it's quite fun. So
Which one's hell?
I'll show you in a sec. So this is hell's red, Joe. Come on, Jesus.
But that's not really red.
Well,
it's like a magenta.
It's stylish.
Right?
Yeah, it's okay. Hell's magenta. You know?
Okay, hell's
yeah,
magenta.
it's designer hell.
Ah,
you
nice.
know? So this is made out of sheep's wool, and this is made out of goat's wool. So that's pretty funny. And then in here you've got your basic heaven lining and your basic hell lining.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
I don't think I've ever seen a man
Sheep's-
walk around with a. I think you're one up.
Am I one up?
Yeah, you're one up. Are you?
No, that's
No,
good.
you're good?
It's double-breasted.
Double-breasted.
Yeah,
Fancy.
yeah. I've got one suit with you in the lining too.
Oh no!
I was going to wear it today. I thought about wearing it. It's a.
Oh my God! He has a suit with Joe Rogan in the lining. Stop!
It's a black suit with platinum wires in it.
The dick riding goes crazy, and then people are like, Joe Rogan has people he disagrees with all the time on his show. Yeah, dude. And then he also, for the most part, has people who literally has his face in the lining of their suits. That's the most common Joe Rogan guest, okay?
Which is kind of cool. And inside it's got black and white images of like really sharp, harsh graphic images of you and Brett Weinstein and Ben Shapiro and Russell Brand and, you know, as an assortment of the
that whole intellectual
Sam
dark
Harris
web
too.
thing.
That's
Sam's
the guys,
in there.
man. Sam's in there too. Yeah, yeah.
I still.
What schizos on Twitter are saying about Jordan Peterson and his shirt. Oh, I love this. I love this. I love this. Jordan Peterson on his JRE with a two-tone heaven and hell suit. Heaven, sheep's wool. Hell, goat's wool. Duality. Light and dark. I love looking at what schizos have to say about these things.
Still have hope for Sam Harris.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah, I hope he makes a comeback. So.
I mean, he's not really going away. He's just got some weird opinions.
Yeah, well,
But
there's plenty of that floating around.
Well, you know, I think when you have like complex, fascinating brains, they go off in all kinds of different directions. Don't you think?
This is one of the dangers of being creative, right? Most creative ideas are wrong, and a good section of those wrong ones are fatal. But now and then you get one that's necessary. So.
Yeah, we were talking about the Twitter files before we got rolling, and what?
Oh, they're not gonna talk about Twitter files, right? Oh God, I can't comprehend anything that's more boring to talk about than this. Oh Jesus.
The new stuff is. So the new stuff has something to do with AI and some sort of content moderation.
Oh yeah, well Tabby released some.
I do think it's rough when you criticize all of his supporters as mentally ill. Defo doesn't lend you more credibility. I never said all of his supporters are mentally ill. Okay? I mean, they do have some issues for sure, but like you have to have some weird thing going on in your brain to make that assertion. Like I never even meant that. I never even implied that. We literally just looked at schizo posting that is not even like a fan of his. I don't even know if this guy's a fan of Jordan Peterson. Two-tone, split suit, two-faced Janice, also the split psyche, mind control. Like, I don't even know if this guy's a fan of his. They're just like reading way too much into his fucking suit. And I think that that's funny. So what's up? Why did you imply that? I mean, I think a lot of his fans are incels. I think a lot of his fans are like looking for, a daddy. They're looking for someone to like guide them. And unfortunately, they found this fucking idiot to guide them. And he is probably the worst person. But I never said that all of his fans are fucking mentally ill or whatever.
Twitter files today definitely on Twitter, obviously, and they're going through the code. Now, I don't understand the technical details, but you don't exactly know when you see the output of a code generated system exactly what rules it's using to sort the information. I suppose that's the equivalent of shadow banning, and there was apparently all sorts of directives built into the code to amplify certain kinds of messages and de-amplify others. And so apparently Musk is doing what he can to to clean that up. Ruben reported that the other day. Yeah. And then Tybee today, he was talking more about the whole Russian collusion fabrication.
He said Tybee. Matt, these motherfuckers don't even know how to say your last name, dog. I used to listen to the Tarfu report. You fucking asshole. Look how far you've come. Look at what your career is now. My man said Tybee. Fucking idiot, dude. I've never seen a worse fall from grace than Matt Taibbi. I swear to God. Just someone who I used to look up to as well. Glenn Greenwald and Matt Taibbi both. God, what an insane sequence of L's that they've taken. Both Glenn Greenwald and Matt Taibbi were two people that I looked up to as like genuinely good reporters, brilliant journalists who were like truth tellers ultimately. And we are so far removed from that reality at this point. It's just like, ugh. Ugh. What did Matt do? The grifter money's too good. Wait, what did Matt do? You mean what did Matt Taibbi do like back in the day that made me love him? He wrote a lot at the Rolling Stones about like him and Lee Fong. And Lee Fong is also not fully gone, but like kind of gone as well. These guys used to do such great work talking about like lobbyist financing, dark money, the Wall Street tentacles, specifically a Matt Taibbi reference, talking about Goldman Sachs. Like their entire body of work before they did this like weird reactionary heel turn was all about how these financial institutions are basically doing everything they can to just continue robbing the American people blind and making bets with our money and doing a bunch of awful shit. You know? That doesn't pay the bills enough for them? Yeah, I don't know. Matt was a central figure for the Occupy Wall Street movement too. Where he is now is wild to see. What do you think caused the right-wing turn for them? I think for them individually, I know what caused it. I think part of it is because, well, Matt was like kind of weird with women, I think, at the workplace or something. And that was like his first recognition that he was not going to be defended by the left. And he got scared of Me Too, so that was his like first heel turn, I think. And it's much stupider when you think about it, but like they're in the same Twitter DM group. And like in that DM group there is like a bunch of people that they thought were cool that were that ultimately became these like reactionary dickheads. You're scared of him? Who? Matt Taibbi? No. Yeah, Glenn was always like a bit of a libertarian. Yes, he defended Matt Hale, who was a literal Nazi white separatist whose group killed people, which was super shitty. He also was he was always a libertarian. Like he was like a Noam Chomsky style libertarian for his like free speech defense. And he also wrote praise about the Iraq War, if I'm not mistaken. But he very quickly turned around and wrote such incredible work, like did such brilliant investigative reporting on government surveillance. Like, come on. I'm telling you though, Tarfu Report was one of my favorite podcast / radio shows of all time because it had Matt Taibbi, who I loved and looked up to and admired, and Alex Perrine, who I still love and think is brilliant and very funny and very clever and very smart. Like, that's how much of a fucking nerd I was, and that's how into it I was. This, like, short-lived radio show I used to listen to, you know what I mean, of them two. And that's what it was. That's what happened there. I think that they just were in a. I think that they were in like a Twitter group or something, and they turned around, and slowly but surely became more radicalized. And I think money also probably played a role too. What? Why do you think Noam Chomsky is not someone to look up to? His political writings and speeches are excellent, in my opinion. What? When did I ever use anything short of like complete admiration and praise when mentioning Noam Chomsky? What? Like, it's not that I glaze up Noam Chomsky all the time. What the fuck are you talking about? At a certain point, it just feels like, it feels like chatters just have no understanding of what I have to say. I think it's because you said he's a libertarian. Noam Chomsky is a libertarian. Jordan Peterson is a lot like Noam Chomsky in his position on free speech. I bet you could learn a lot from him on this. Actually, the way you ban many chatters. Yeah, this person is joking. How do you not understand that this is someone who's being sarcastic, dude? Come on.
Oh.
So that's also real fun.
Well, how about the one guy that was going after Trump, who it turned out was actually in collusion with the Russians?
Oh, yeah, that's a rough one. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, the best defense is a good offense, and so.
I guess. Yeah, I guess.
I know.
But
we're in a
it's
crazy
just like,
world.
why would anybody not think that was going to come around to get them?
It's amazing how often people don't think that, what they're doing isn't gonna end up aimed squarely at them.
Well, this Twitter thing, right? Like, they never suspected that someone like Elon was going to come along and buy Twitter and then, in an unheard of tactic, have a bunch of journalists review everything in all of their Slack meetings and all their emails, look under the code, look under the wire.
Does this shit even play outside of our bubble? Did anybody care about this? You have relatives. You have MAGA relatives. No, right? Like, I think they care more about, like, gas stoves and shit. No, I'm not even kidding. I think this is just, like, the right is now more divided than it's ever been. And I think this is a very specific part of the right that still tries to position itself as, like, the centrists. And they're just, like, podcast consumers, right? They're the guys who think, like, sometimes Trump goes a little bit too far. I'm just a reasonable person. You know what I mean? They're not exactly the New York Times reading center-right individuals. They're not the Lincoln Project. You know what I mean? But I feel like Elon Musk is tailoring that towards the Joe Rogan audience of, like, center-right people that are in a very weird league of their own. Because I don't think this is that. Like, Fox News didn't cover the fucking Twitter files that much. I think this is for, like, incredibly online center-right, right-wing people who haven't, like, openly admitted that they're Nazis. Because, like, when you have, like, someone who is an extremely online right-winger, they just, like, very openly would just be like, yeah, I'm a groyper. I'm going to start using the word friend when discussing things. And these are the guys that didn't go down that route, but they're like, yeah, I'm a liberal for the most part. Like, I listen to Tim Pool a lot. And that's it. Like, I think Tim Pool's got a lot of good ideas. And I listen to Joe Rogan. Like, I want to hear from both sides of the politics. So I listen to Lex Friedman, who's, I think, liberal because he's Jew. So I would assume he's, like, liberal, right? Like, that kind of motherfucker. You know what I mean? Obviously, they would never watch me because I'm, like, far too much of an extremist, but, like, yeah, I'm pretty much a liberal. I listen to Tim Pool, Joe Rogan, love Jordan Peterson. I mean, he seems gay, right? He's not. What? What do you mean? He cries all the time, like a gay guy. Wears, like, weird suits. Sounds really feminine. What are you talking about? He's not gay? What? Okay, well, he's Canadian, so still pretty liberal, right? I'm liberal myself. Stereotypes are pretty homophobic of you. Yeah, I mean, yeah. The stereotype is of a homophobic center right guy who's like, no, me, I don't have a problem with gay people. I just think like, they should just, stop grooming. I think that's what I heard from my favorite liberal. Even liberals hate that, like Tim Pool. Like what? What do you mean? I don't get it. What?
Under the machine and find out how it was actually running. And why? I mean, the fact that anyone would ever think that any of this stuff is a good idea, that people don't understand like the dangers of censorship. They don't understand where this leads to.
Yeah, well, we're seeing a little bit of that emerge on the right now, which is kind of frightening to me. So I'm an admirer in many ways of what's going on in Florida, with DeSantis. But him and Rufo, who I also think has got a bit of a clue, are trying to, what would you say, limit or even ban critical race theory. And the problem with that is you can't define it, right?
Right.
Jordan Peterson just said the Manhattan Institute's very own fucking loser who almost single-handedly destroyed the Republican chances of winning the Senate. That guy is the good guy. Notice how you haven't heard of Christopher Rufo in a while. I wonder why. He used to be everywhere, bro. What happened?
So how do you control something you can't define? And the answer is you battle it out on the battleground of ideas. Because as soon as you start to try to define it and then try to censor it, well, first of all, that's just going to grow because that's how those things work. Like where does critical race theory shade into Marxism? Well, who the hell knows? Where does Marxism shade into socialism?
Why is any of this bad? You can't be cutting an argument about banning certain types of education immediately after you cried about how people are saying you can't post the way you're posting. Don't stop posting, but like maybe conduct yourself in a way that makes sense. What the fuck? He's arguing against it. You think he just said he likes Christopher Rufo and DeSantis, whose main point that he likes about Christopher Rufo and DeSantis is their advocacy around banning CRT.
It's an even harder question. Then where does socialism shade into, just being on the side of the working class? Well, all that's fuzzy beyond belief. And so once you get to the point where the government has to step in and regulate, say, what education systems are doing, you're already in deep trouble. And because I don't see how it can really be done.
Oh, he doesn't want to ban it. My bad. He said he doesn't like them banning it. My bad. I misunderstood.
Because I can't define critical race theory. More or less you can get some sense of the cloud of ideas that's associated with it. But trying to draw the lines, how are you going to do that? And then, of course, you enable.
Pardon me for misunderstanding what he said, because he said he likes Christopher Rufo and he likes DeSantis. And the most notable things both of those people have done is advocate to ban CRT. It's like saying, I disagree with Hitler a lot, but I like what he did with the Holocaust. Like, okay, well, that's the main thing that he's famous for. You know what I mean? It's kind of the thing that he did that's bad. Oh, sorry. It's like saying you like Hitler, but you disagree with the Holocaust. I'm a big fan of his paintings, actually. What are you, a fan of Christopher Rufo as like a person and the way that he conducts himself? He didn't say he liked them.
Turned out was actually around to get them.
Isn't going to end up aiming
Twitter. And
wait, am I crazy? Did he not say I like DeSantis and I like Christopher Rufo, but I just don't like that they want to ban
theory? And the problem with that is you can't define in many ways of what's going on in Florida. To me, so I'm an admirer in many ways of what's going on in Florida, to me. So I'm an admirer in many ways of what's going on in Florida, with
Ban the person who said I was wrong about him glazing up Christopher Rufo and DeSantis.
But him and Rufo, who I also think has got a bit of a clue, are...
He likes DeSantis. He's an admirer of what's going on in Florida. He thinks Rufo has got a bit of a clue, but...
trying to, what would you say, limit or even ban critical race theory. And the problem with that is you can't define it.
Yeah. You can't define critical race theory. That's why you can't ban it. That's the problem with banning critical race theory. Not that it's an insane thing to want to ban. Yeah. Dude, why are dumb fuck centrists always like this? Why? Why are you always like this? Why? To derail you? No, because they want to be like right. They want to be right while also they want to feel like they're right while also simultaneously holding on to the idea that Jordan Peterson is actually an intellectual. Like, you can't say you like Ron DeSantis while you simultaneously have to recognize that you can't say you like Ron DeSantis and what he's been doing in Florida when, like, their entire point, their entire goal in Florida is to, like, ban CRT, ban gay people from public life. You know what I mean? That's their whole thing. The Hitler analogy holds. Like saying, I'm an admirer of Hitler, but, some of the parts of Holocaust were not great. I mean, there's probably more efficient methods, right? Better ways to deal with the Jews. Like that. It's like that. It's like saying that. He doesn't even have an issue with, like, the concept. He doesn't even say he has an issue with the concept of, like, banning CRT. He just thinks they are hard to define. Like, that's your problem with banning CRT? Come on, man.
Right. So how do you control something you can't define? And the answer is you battle it out on the battleground of ideas. Because as soon as you start to try to define it and then try to censor it, well, first of all, that's just going to grow because that's how those things work. Like where does critical race theory shade into Marxism? Well, who the hell knows? Where does Marxism shade into socialism? Well, that's an even harder question. Then where does...
He's not wrong. CRT means different things to different people. Yeah, which is why we have a better assessment of what they mean when they're talking about CRT. You don't have to look that further. You don't have to look that far, man. They were asked what CRT is, okay? They, like, in court, representatives representing Ron DeSantis were asked what it means to be woke and what it means for CRT. And they literally said anything that means that America has, systemic racism in existence. So Jordan Peterson should know that by now because, we're living in the future where that has already happened. Here. Yeah, they were asked because he pitched the where is it? Ron DeSantis was asked after a legislative proposal to stop woke activism and critical race theory in schools and corporations. Okay? So they asked him, the fuck does that mean? All right, oops. And his general counsel said the term referred to the belief that there are systemic injustices in American society and the need to address them. So when Jordan Peterson says, well, what do they think CRT is? It's hard to define. No, it's not. They've defined it. They have defined it. So now let's talk on those terms. If Jordan Peterson was legitimately interested in having a serious conversation about this and was open about, like, showing his ideological position, okay, he would openly say, well, this is what
Ron DeSantis' general counsel thinks is woke. The belief, and CRT, the belief that there are systemic injustices in American society and the need to address them. And I myself personally do not find that to be adequate. If he cared about this conversation, he would meet you where the fucking terms are and describe whether he has a position on it that is favorable or not. Right? Like the top of the hour. It comes and goes at the top of the hour. There's a 3-minute ad break, and I don't like it. Now, of course, if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $5 American dollar dues, buckaroo. Wait, is there a juicer raid? What the fuck? XQC's looking for a gym partner? Brother, I would take him to the gym, but I fear he will perish. Like, I feel like he would just turn into dust, okay? And not even like normal dust. I feel like he'd turn into Cheeto dust if he stepped inside of the gym. But, I mean, I've taken him out to play basketball and stuff. I'm down. I'm always down. God of Fizz, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Aura Autumn, thank you for the 5 gifted subs as well, allowing 10 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. That's right. But yeah, no, I would take him. I'd take him to workout. But do you guys understand? Okay. Jordan Peterson fanboys, do you understand? If Jordan Peterson wanted to genuinely have this conversation, he wouldn't hide behind the vagueness. He wouldn't even say, I don't like that CRT is undefinable. Okay? Because, they've defined it. So he would just say, this is what the DeSantis General Counsel thinks is like CRT and wokeness, and I agree with them. And I think that is fine to take out, especially when I know Jordan Peterson's take on indoctrination. He has tweeted out in the past urging parents to take their children out of fucking school if they're teaching the concept of equity. Soy Kami takes Soy Gamer to the gym. Yeah. I feel like that's one area where I don't know if people call me soy is like working out and gym shit, By the way, top of the hour segue bot gave me a 917 out of that, which I respect. Thank you. I think it's the juicers that gave me the segue. Anyway, so I'm bored of JP, man. I think this is boring. We'll finish off this video and then we'll get to fun shit.
Socialism shade into, just being on the side of the working class. Well, all that's fuzzy beyond belief. And so once you get to the point where the government has to step in and regulate, say, what education systems are doing, you're already in deep trouble. And because I don't see how it can really be done. Because I can't define critical race theory. More or less you can get some sense of the cloud of ideas that's associated with it, but trying to draw the lines, how are you going to do that? And then, of course, you enable, inevitably, no matter what your goal is to begin with, you're going to control a certain form, let's say, of pathological communication, misinformation. That's just going to play into the hands of people who like to censor, and that's just as likely on the right as it is on the left. So no, it's a real dangerous game.
Is the problem like the term critical race theory it's open to interpretation?
Yeah, well, it's often even hard, except in retrospect, to understand a lot of what these things actually are, because new clouds of ideas emerge and they kind of have an animating spirit, and they have a set of associated, what would you say, presumptions, and you can often only see what that is in retrospect. It took me a long time to understand whatever existentialism was enough to sort of define it, phenomenology, these different schools of thought that occupied the thoughts of psychological investigators over a couple of...
Bro, Andrew Tate is 1,000 times more entertaining than this man. I'm gonna say it. Like, yeah, he's a piece of shit, sex trafficker, alleged rapist, alleged sex trafficker, but like infinitely more fun to listen to than this fucking dipshit, dude. God, he is so dull. He's like, oh, like, at least with Andrew Tate, he's got a point, okay? He's got a perspective. He's got an opinion. You can understand it. He is too stupid to try to shroud it. God damn, dude. Jordan Peterson is just like, he's such a fucking gigantic pussy. Like, he can never just like openly admit what his perspective is. Dog, you're a literal fucking lobbyist for the fossil fuel industry. Like, you are a lobbyist for the fossil fuel industry. You go to every fucking right-wing conference there is out there. He goes on Turning Point USA conferences. Like, we know you're right-wing. Just say it. Who cares? Nobody cares. Ugh. At least also, the other thing is, like, Andrew Tate tries to appear much smarter than he actually is. But, like, he does it in, like, a funny way. You know what I mean? You know he's a fucking idiot. Jordan Peterson also is not exactly smart, but he just uses language and word salad in a way to, like, appear infinitely smarter than he actually is. I think that a lot of my
enemies accuse me of doing when I openly admit that I'm a dumbass.
Yeah, see, oh, dude, before I even finished it, he said, says you. Oh, you are so easy. You're so easy, brother. Also, oh, no, it did run the ad right. Okay, good. Dude, imagine being the most predictable fucking thing on the planet. You are such a bot that I predicted what you were going to respond to, and you still did it while I was in the process of describing how much of a bot you are. Read like a fucking open book. Anyway. Such a bot.
The centuries, postmodernism, modernism, you know, it's not an easy thing to extract out the gist of those and define them. Plus, as I said, they have very fuzzy boundaries. So,
well, what I saw with DeSantis was there was he had a concern that it wasn't just black history that they were putting into this critical race theory, but that he saw that there was queer theory, which was in this thing that they were teaching in school. And he was like, what does that have how does that have anything to do with black history?
Yeah, totally, dude. They should ban that, actually. Why? Because I don't agree with it. Meanwhile, the entire point of, like, being fucking free speech is, I thought, you know, not banning things you disagree with. But he's simultaneously like, yeah, black history stuff, like, I get, but what's up with these gays?
Why is queer theory inserted into
well,
that?
I think the way those are linked is essentially.
Famously, there have never been, like, queer black people. That's not a thing. Like, for example, you know, like, iconic queer black people that spoke about civil rights in this country. Famously, that's not a thing.
Essentially through what you might regard as, well, it's an implicit Marxism, but it's even deeper than Marxism. So if you're a Marxist, you have a heuristic that simplifies the world, and that heuristic is that you can understand any social relationship from...
Dude, that is not a simplified heuristic, dude. Dialectical materialism is an adequate assessment to understand daily existence, okay? Understand everything. Instead of what you use as a heuristic, which is some shit you claim God wrote. Are you fucking joking? That's insane. Analyzing the material realities by examining, by classifying the producers, the mode of production, and the relationship that workers have with it versus capital owners is infinitely a more understandable way to analyze the existence that we live under than fucking, well, God made up some rules, I think, and everyone keeps misinterpreting it, but also these are objective truths. That's crazy. That's crazy. He doesn't even also understand Marxism. Like, I don't know why he's talking about this. Oh my God.
From an intimate relationship all the way up to the state by just dividing the parties, let's call them the narrative partners in a discussion or an interaction, into those who are oppressed and victimized and those who are.
Queer theory, want to make everyone gay, let children transition, kill straight families, teach 4-year-olds about sex and rape children. Okay, you're saying that that's what, okay, you're saying that that's what right-wingers think, right? Please. Yes, this person is trying to say right-wingers think this is what queer theory is. There's no way. This person is like asking for the EMTs to be fired. There's no shot. Yes, obviously. Well, it's not so obvious. We got a lot of fucking psychos in the chatter. You know what I mean? So it's not as obvious as you think it is, I promise. Anyway, God, he was spitting about Marxism. I'm sad that it ends here.
Taking advantage of them and profiting. That's basic Marxist theory of economics. And there's obviously some truth in that, because when systems become corrupt, that's how they operate, right? It's exploitation and victimization. And every system tends towards corruption.
Wait,
this
what?
is one of the...
Bro, exploitation is assigned a moral value by you, okay? Exploitation in the Marxist sense is not immoral. It's just what it is. As a matter of fact, plenty of capitalists look at the exploitation and use a much more favorable perspective on it, a much more favorable term for it, called profit. Okay? Econ textbooks are riddled with insanely indecent acts that, if you recognize the humanity behind the people that you're talking about as though they are simple commodities, you would be like, this is insane. I can't believe they wrote this in a book and they're teaching it to people. Okay? You are the one who's saying, yeah, with everything I know, exploitation is immoral and bad, actually. And it's just a product of corrupt systems. Well, you have fundamentally misunderstood what Marxism is if you think that. Okay? It's just a descriptor on the current relations, okay, to the means of production and who gets the benefit and how they benefit. An extraction of surplus labor value is considered to be a totally good thing under our current understanding of classical, economics, that in the way that we understand it and the way that it's taught is completely understandable. That level of exploitation is understandable. It's just profit. That's how you accumulate profits. Okay? When you consider that to be a bad thing, you're basically saying neoclassical economics is bad. I'm ascribing a negative value to that. That's it. It's just an analysis. Which is funny because, yes, there is a human part of all of us that ultimately falls on sharing is caring. Okay? That ultimately believes that kind of those values, they're deeply ingrained in us, which is precisely the reason why when you describe to people what the current system looks like, they kind of end up getting upset at the way that you described it, so they just get mad at you and shoot the messenger rather than try to understand it. Jordan Peterson demonstrated that right there when he's like, well, that's kind of mean. I mean, all systems are corrupt at the end, It's just like, well, no, that corruption is built into it. It's at the heart of it. If you consider it to be corrupt, that's on you, my friend.